for the field school hub is that we need to start applying it. There is always not any document that you do up to the finalization stage, but rather you can have a, a version that we can be able to apply as we keep on modifying. The mail framework is also a living document. There could be some things that will come on board, but for the field school, we are saying we need to apply it. The other part that I want to mention is that our master trainers now are on board and they are really working very hard to catch up the assignment. We request that when they get to you, or if you have, if Halima has anything she wants the master trainer to support, feel very free to contact any of the master trainers who are closer to you, because the master trainers are not really employees, but they are part of the fraternity. So they are volunteers who are really very keen to support the field school approach in the region, and they want to add value to any initiative. Of course, we thought that they would do more with investment projects, but some of these investment projects are just starting. So we want them to go beyond that. So having said so, Nathan now is on board. I would like to give Emma uh, like 5 minutes to just highlight how you are moving with the registration of the hub. You may not necessarily want to do a PowerPoint, but if you have it, that's also okay for people to appreciate. But if you don't have it, it's okay. We can arrange next Wednesday. Actually, is a dedicated time for all the consultants that we have now to present progress in various areas that they are working on, so that the field school fraternity will be able to give feedback, but also direction on how we should move with the East Africa Field School Hub. Again, I want to welcome all of you. After Emma, then I will hand over to Edwin to manage the part of the mail, and we continue. Over to you, Emma.
Okay, thank you so much, Max, and a good morning to everyone that is attending the call. As Max introduced me, my name is Emmanuel Tumuhaise, and I am leading on the registration and the legalization of the Field School Hub. So in the few minutes that I've given me, I want to present the progress which specifically relates to the name reservation,
Emma,
which
just
was...
sorry, Emma. You seem to be having two devices. If maybe your phone is also connected, just double check. You could be having two devices. Disconnect one and continue with one so that there is no echo. Thank you. In case.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's clear now.
Hello?
Kindly proceed.
Okay. It was the headset. So I was saying, in the few minutes I've been given, I'm going to give details in respect to the progress on the registration status and some information that we may need to move forward. So first things first, the major issue that we had to deal with was to get approval of the name, which was the Eastern Africa Field School Support Hub. So what happens at the point of reservation of the name is that in many instances, the Register of Companies is reluctant to give any names to give names to private companies that bear resemblance to government entities or any public bodies, so to speak. So at the time when we applied for the name reservation of the East African Field School Support Hub Limited, it was rejected initially because of two issues. One, the fact that it was long, and secondly, because of the Eastern Africa. So ideally, the argument of the Registrar of Companies was that Eastern Africa should is a name or words that should ideally be limited to entities that are associated with either the East African Community or are associated with the Ministerial Council. And if we intend to utilize the same, ideally we should obtain approval from the Ministerial Council. However, we had meetings with the Register of Companies to explain the organization and its objectives, and the fact that it has already been operating. It has been operating as a project under an already established organization. So on that basis, and with further consultations, the Register of Companies finally approved the name, and going forward, this is the name that we shall use to register the entity. Now, secondly, the other important issue is in respect of the members of the organization. So we are registering the entity as, first of all, as a company limited by guarantee, and subsequently we shall also register it as a non-government organization with the NGO Bureau. So what happens with the company limited by guarantee is that you have got to identify members, or what we call guarantors, for the company. And these members will be liable to the extent of their guarantee in the event that the organization or the NGO intends to wind up, so to speak. So in my initial discussions that I had with Max, he had informed me that the organization will have both individuals and entities as members. So that is both from FAO and any other entities that we may need. So for purposes of our discussion going forward, it will be important that we determine the members that will form this group of persons that are important for the registration of the entity. And thirdly, we also need to establish a board of directors who will be in charge of the day-to-day management of the entity, which is separate from the management team that will be ideally the employees of the organization. So the board of directors will have members who are nominated by the members themselves. So whether it is FAO forwarding a name to be a director on the board, or the members here present establishing or determining or deciding who will be and it is these members together with the board of directors that will be signing any documentation that we shall need to register both the organization and also pursue any other documentation. Yes. Now, maybe the other issue that is important to bring to your attention is that we shall need an organogram or a structure for the organization. And this will be dependent on two factors. One, the moment we establish the hub and it provides consultancy services, if at any one point, these consultancy services will be treated, and this becomes a major issue from a tax perspective. These consultancy services will be treated as income for the hub, and ideally URA will want to tax that income. So in order for us to avoid instances of any income and grants being subject to tax, we shall need to obtain a tax exemption certificate from URA. Now, how do we obtain this exemption certificate? We write to URA informing them of our status, and further also detailing the objectives of the NGO and essentially the activities that they partake. We also have got to prove to URA that any incomes that are earned by the organization are not for the benefit of any individuals, but are rather for purposes of pursuing and pushing forward the objectives of the field school hub. So on that basis, it is the reason as to why we shall have to go further. One of the major reasons as why we shall have to go further and register the organization as an NGO, because NGOs under the Income Tax Act, under the law in Uganda, have an exemption certificate, are treated as exempt organizations, well, much as they require a formal letter from the Commissioner General of URA. So it would be very difficult for us to prove that it is a charitable entity if it purely maintains the status of a company limited by guarantee. Ideally, URA will tend to push such entities into the realm of trading or consulting consulting companies, which is what we do not want at this moment. So from this discussion, we may end up having a number of committees that will play this particular role. So in the event that the consultancy plays a major part of the activities of the hub, it will be important that we establish and determine whether keeping it as part and parcel of the NGO is not detrimental at the end of the day. But if the activities of the NGO, which are charitable in nature, far outweigh the consultancy activities, then it becomes easier and we can maintain both activities or entities, if you want to call them that, under the same umbrella. So for purposes of our discussion today, the two major issues that we need or I need guidance on are who will be the members of the organization. There is no maximum. We can have as many as 10 members or even 20 members, but below 100, below 100. And also who will sit on the board of the organization. So thank you so much, Max.
Okay, thank you,
Well,
Emma.
thank you so much, Mr. Yeah. Proceed, Max.
Oh, okay, thank you for that update. I think we need another discussion internally here with a few members who are face to face. I'm happy Dr. Gole has also joined. And the other part which I had already mentioned is that when we did the registration of AFAS, originally it was a company limited by guarantee without share capital, so that you don't have the liabilities to the directors. Then somebody asked me, is it possible just to go straight to NGO registration rather than going to the company then NGO? Those ones, I think you have a better sense on that. I think we can limit the discussion on this, but what we wanted is for the members to reflect. If you have any issues, we shall request you to send to the secretariat, send to me, Edwin. Then we can be able to engage again with the Emma to see how we move forward. Otherwise, if somebody has only one thing, maybe this is also opportunity, we can allow two people to mention a few things. But in terms of the membership, Emma, I think it's not 100, because the field school is for East Africa, and it's going to be all the institutions that are implementing field schools definitely will be the members, but also there are professional people one-on-one who will want to be on their own to join the hub. So they are professionals, but they are also institutions. Like, for example, AFAS can be a member, Country Fora can be a member, Ministry of Agriculture, all the ministries of agriculture will be members, and other NGOs, private sector, some of the universities. So there's diversity of membership to the hub. So it's not basically about individuals. That means it will go, it is a big number. We're hoping to have all the East Africa in the hub. And there is also a possibility that it should operate beyond East Africa. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Max. Maybe I'll just respond to the last issue on membership, and all the other technical issues we can always arrange for another meeting or Zoom call to discuss the details. So the membership that I was referring to is in respect to the subscribers of the memorandum of association. So the subscribers ideally will be different from the members who will be part of the organization. So we shall treat them as two different entities, and we shall create separate structures for both entities. So an organization like AFAS will be a subscriber to the memorandum of association, and say even Ministry of Agriculture can be a subscriber to the memorandum of association. But a person who's implementing a hub will obtain membership
All right.
subsequent to
Okay, can now
registration.
listen. Okay, thank you.
Proceed, Emmanuel.
Oh, yes. So basically, yeah, I was finalizing in terms of the fact that we shall treat them as two different entities. Ideally, we would, anyway, this is a discussion that we shall have later on with the smaller team, but the subscribers ideally want, depending on other factors, they shouldn't even go beyond 5 or 6. So to speak. But again, this is a discussion that we can have with the smaller team, but all the other structures will be in place to ensure that all the other implementing partners or personnel that have activities that they are pursuing under the hub can obtain registration within the organization after it has been registered.
Okay, so I think that is it. If there is no other question, for now, send us the email. Then we give the floor now to Nathan and over to you, Edwin, to manage that. Again, we want to welcome all the members. Today we are really a great number here. So over to you, Edwin.
Well, thank you, Max, and thank you, Emmanuel, for that elaborate update on the process of registration. We are looking forward to a membership of almost 30 million farmers who have gone through the FFS training. And we are looking forward to a membership of another 100 or so institutions, which are universities, research organizations, and also middle-level colleges. So it's something that maybe we will sit down as a smaller team and advise accordingly. So for the time being, members, if you have any other issues on the legal and registration status of the hub, kindly make use of our platform, our social media handles. We can have in-depth discussions even after this meeting. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Nathan Okwi, who will give a presentation on the MEL, the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning Guide. And then from there, our colleague Ori Pratt will kind of sum up and also advise on the way forward. Maybe just as a preamble, there was a very big meeting in Bangkok, Thailand in 2017 to discuss how to undertake monitoring and evaluation of FFS. And this was a global meeting. And part of this global meeting now recommended the formation of regional hubs for easier monitoring and technical backstopping. So along these premises and the recommendations from the Bangkok 2017 meeting, a meeting was organized in Addis Ababa by the FAO sub-regional office from the 19th to 21st of November to come and seek and develop a guide on monitoring, evaluation, and learning. This meeting had about 44 participants drawn from the region, and a draft workshop report was produced, which will also be shared on our platform. So it is based on this meeting. That's the premise that our M&E consultant specialist, Nathan Okwi, will now go ahead and make this presentation. So Nathan, please proceed. But I've noticed you're having two devices, so you'll have to mute the other Nathan and use the ITEL. Thank you. Please proceed. Unmute yourself. Nathan, can you hear me? Please proceed. Nathan, we can't hear you.
Nathan, I think you forget about the video, because whenever you put your video, you almost fall off. So just proceed without the video.
Notebook or papers. Take me some papers.
Nathan, we can't hear you. Max, I think I'm having a problem, or am I the only one? I cannot hear Nathan speak.
It seems he has even fallen. I don't see him.
Oof.
Okay. Meanwhile, we wait for Nathan. I also want to give a chance to Ori, just to greet, but also give Edwin has given some historical perspective, but Ori has been leading us in this process. Maybe Ori, as we wait for Nathan to get on board, you could tell us about how we worked on this mail up to where we are now, and also where we want to go. Nathan, please. Hello, Nathan.
Yes, can you hear me now?
No, wait.
There you are.
You wait a bit, Nathan. We have said that you settle, but also don't put your video. So we've given Ori to first say a few words, then you'll come on board when you have settled. So over to Ori as Nathan is on board. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Max and Edwin. It's good to see everybody here this morning. Just to give you some background information, I don't want to go too in depth of what Nathan is going to present. So, as Edwin had said, there was an initial monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework exercise workshop that was in Bangkok. And then there were efforts to have a regional, more contextualized approach to Eastern Africa that was held a year ago. Wow, it's gone by very fast this year. And so we gathered participants from, I believe it was 8 different countries across Eastern Africa. We even had folks come up from Malawi and down from our headquarters in Rome to discuss and share. And what the big concept of the monitoring framework is that farmer field schools have impacts, what we see, what FAO sees across 4 different domains. So the first is let me bring them up here. The first is the human domain. It's kind of the individual level. What kind of impact does a farmer field school have on an FFS participant? Whether that's kind of self-confidence, especially being able to speak up in a group, analytical skills by examining what their problems are and being able to internalize them and vocalize what their problems actually are, whether that be an infestation of a pest, limited soil fertility, erosion, different sort of constraints that they have. The next is more at the social level, or what we say a group level. So how groups, what kind of impact FFS have on a group on being able to make decisions or empowering themselves to speak up to the government and ask for services if they are trying to request water services, or if a road is in bad condition, that they have a collective voice to go to their government and ask for these services and demand for them. So this is what the social impact looks like, and as well it could even relate to community conflict. So we know that FFS have had the power to bring together community members who have been fighting or have had tension in the past, and they are now able to come together and resolve their problems because of their participation in a farmer field school. The next domain is the natural, or more of the production aspect. So what kind of impact does FFS have on production? Whether that be the reduced use of inorganic fertilizers or pesticides, that farmers are able to come up with their own homemade remedies to control pests, or increased soil fertility through use of organic manure or compost, increase in production and productivity. So of course, these are all kind of tangible measures, whereas the first 2 are more of a perception level of what they perceive. What kind of perception do they have of self-confidence when they start an FFS, and then what do they have after an FFS? And the last is the financial domain. So an ability to form a collective savings account, increased incomes, access, availability to access credit or different financial services. So those are the 4 different domains. And what we came up with in Addis are a group of different sort of indicators. So we would have the output level, what kind of activities does an FFS do to lead to that immediate output? So we could see perhaps an increase in production or reduce infestation of pests. Those are kind of the immediate effects. Then when we look further down the scale at the outcome and impact level, which are more long-term, they get a bit harder to understand and to create metrics and to analyze, to measure. So we had split up into different groups based on their own sort of interest in that particular domain, and we came up with some different sort of indicators at the output, outcome, and impact level. And from that, we've taken it forward. We've discussed with FAO HQ what some of our group decisions were, and we've had some discussions throughout the year. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, COVID has really upended our normative work. So we've had to shift focus on more of the emergency aspects, and especially from the sub-regional level here, we've had a big outbreak in pests, especially the desert locust upsurge. So we've really been busy with that this year. So it's my desire that we continue the work, and the ultimate goal is to really put this out into the field and get it tested, because we understand that M&E and FFS have not really done well. We really need to strengthen that. And that's an area in all projects in development, that M&E aspects are a bit weak and need to be strengthened. So by putting focus on this framework, we can really measure the impact that FFS have across these different domains. Now, that's not to say, look, they all need to be contextualized. So if you're running a pastoral field school, then your natural level, your natural domain indicators will be completely different if you would be running a fisheries fields, an aquaculture field school, or a crop production field school. And this is where we start getting into that nitty-gritty discussion of, well, how contextualized do the indicators and levels need to be versus how general should they be to measure all different types of field schools across that natural or financial domain. So this is where I want to leave it. Maybe Nathan can take it a bit more, and I think we'll have a lot of great discussion today. Thanks so much.
Excellent, great. Now over to Edwin to usher in Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. You can now share your screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. I tried to share the screen, Edwin, but I think you are disabled screen sharing. Let me see if that.
Now it's possible for you.
Okay. So is everyone able to see the screen?
Very well, Nathan. Thank you.
Put on slideshow.
But
Put it on slideshow. Yeah. Thank you. That's better.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to see all of us in today's session, and thank you, Pratt and Edwin, for the brief highlight on the mail framework. So today we really want to see what this mail framework is all about, and how we can be able to use it as a document that we shall be using for monitoring and evaluation of farmer field school activities from wherever we are conducting all our farmer field school initiatives. So by the end of today, I should be able to, I know all of us are familiar with monitoring, evaluation, and learning, but just to give a brief reminder, and then we shall look at the indicators, especially the indicators that were developed during the workshop in Addis Ababa. And then we should also be able to look at the development of how the framework was developed and how we shall operationalize it. And then I'll probably conclude with the tools to be used for the M&E for the farmer field schools. And this we've tried to have them in the mail framework document that is already circulated. So we are very familiar with these words: monitoring, evaluation, learning, but how do we differentiate them? They seem to be similar, but they have small differences. So this table here summarizes what ideally monitoring and what evaluation is. So with monitoring, we are doing ongoing data collection to assess if we are making progress in achievement of the desired objectives that we want. So monitoring is ongoing, but evaluations are periodically done. Probably you set a given time, and most of them are done at the end of program implementation. So you want to see now the desired impact. So monitoring looks at more of activities and outputs, but the evaluation, you're looking at measuring changes in terms of outcomes and impacts. So monitoring, like I said, it's more of a short-term corrective action, but for evaluation, we are looking at more of guiding us to decision-making about future programs. With monitoring, we are looking at accountability for implementation. On the other side, evaluation looks at more of accountability for results. And monitoring is usually done internally within internal processes of the organizations, while most evaluations would always be done by external evaluators who will be able to give you the clear picture of the desired impacts that the organization would be wanting to achieve. So that's really a brief highlight of what monitoring and evaluation is. So in regard to the farmer field schools, why should we do monitoring? So we are saying that each actor adopting the farmer field school approach really has the responsibility to monitor the achievement of results. And this should be done regularly and systematically. And the monitoring also helps for continued review of progress in terms of capacity development needs that might come up during farmer field school implementation. We should also do monitoring to basically improve the result-based reporting on achievements. If you're running farmer field schools and you're aiming at certain achievements, then you monitor to check if you're really attaining those achievements. But also monitoring really feeds into the evaluation and real-time learning aspects. In terms of the evaluation, why should we carry out evaluation for the farmer field school interventions? So we want to measure if the farmer field schools are relevant and if the participants, our participants in these farmer field schools really derive satisfaction in attending the farmer field schools. We also want to see whether by running the farmer field schools, we are doing it the right way. So we want to see in terms of the effectiveness, the efficiency, and whether we can be able to achieve sustainability of the different interventions that we are doing, but also the ultimate end result that we want to achieve. So that is really a brief highlight of why we should be able to achieve, do monitoring and evaluation for farmer field schools. Now, currently we are in the process of really putting a comprehensive farmer field school monitoring and evaluation system, and that's why I came on board. Different tools like the log frame matrix, the theory of change, the M&E plan, issues to do with the activity and progress reports, and various tools that are used in the farmer field schools, the ISR tool and all those things are currently, some of them have already been developed, but others are in the process of us having them finalized. So this MEL framework, I would like to, Pratt and Edwin have already given a brief highlight on how the MEL framework came about. FAO headquarters led the development of this MEL framework, but it was mainly to improve issues to do with data collection, analysis, and utilization of all farmer field school interventions. And like Pratt highlighted, it is structured based on the 4 domains: the human, social, natural, and financial. And all these 4 domains guided the development of the framework. So again, a consultative approach was used where various stakeholders are drawn from the NGOs, the academia, from and various field school actors assembled in Addis Ababa. All these were drawn from 12 countries, and they developed indicators and set an action plan for the adaptation of the farmer field school MEL framework. Now, like Edwin highlighted before, this was a global review process, and under this process, 3 separate studies were conducted. an in-depth case study was conducted, and some of the issues that came out from the case study show that the farmer field schools have remained relevant wherever they are being operated. But also the case studies highlighted that farmer field schools assisted farmers mainly to improve their practices and diversify their income sources. The case studies also showed a need for farmers to work as a group so that they can be able to expand their markets and be able to manage those natural resources that they might be exposed to. So that was the first aspect of the global review process. The second one was highlighted the importance of involving farmers, especially in designing various interventions, training needs, and having the quality of farmer field schools improved. However, this questionnaire survey was able to identify that there is a very big gap in issues to do with collection, analysis, and utilization of FFS activities, and that has remained a major challenge up to now, which has actually guided the development of this framework. Now, the global review also guided the development of analytical framework with several result areas which were arranged according to the four domains. And the result areas here, we are looking at the outputs, the outcomes, the impacts, and from these result areas, indicators were developed. So in brief, the four domains are structured in this presentation, but they are built from a skills perspective. In the Addis Ababa workshop, the participants the participants agreed that they change the word skills to activities or processes. So the skills, or you'd call them activities or processes, actually now lead us to the desired results that we want to see at output, outcome, and income level, all structured in all the four domains. So, for example, when you look at the human domain, the desired impact is to see that there is quality of life, and farmer field school participants are empowered. That is really the desired goal, what we call at impact level. That's what we want to see. But the outcome of this, we should be able to see that the farmers have confidence, and there is a mindset change. They have good health, and so these immediate changes are what we desire to see at outcome level. At output level, we would like to see that farmers have the ability to experiment, to innovate, and to explore various initiatives that can be able to help them probably improve their well-being and livelihood. Of course, the main objective why farmer field schools operate, or the overall goal, is to see that we are improving production levels and the livelihood of all the participants of the farmer field schools. So I would now like us to look at in detail some of the indicators that were highlighted in the Addis Ababa workshop, and from the human domain, I've just picked out a few, and these are now the indicators that are actually captured in the MEL framework. So from the human domain aspect, the desired impact is to see that households become empowered and resilient. So some of the indicators that were developed and for us to be able to achieve that desired impact is percentage of households living above the poverty line. We should be able to measure that during the monitoring and evaluation. But also we should be able to see the number of households with the diversified livelihood options. How many households, for example, have been able to maybe open up various enterprises as a result of participating in a particular farmer field school. So those are the things that we want to see in terms of the human domain impact. The outcome, the desired change, immediate change that we want to see is households optimally utilizing the resources, and as well as the behavior change to make improvements maybe in their well-being and livelihood. And some of the indicators that were captured there is, for example, the percentage of households at least being able to break even in the selected enterprises, percentage increase in the size under production. So if the farmers say before the farmer field school were maybe cultivating in 1 acre, how many farmers have been able, as a result of participating in farmer field schools, have been able to expand their areas under production. We also want to see the percentage of participants adopting interventions probably that the farmer field schools are promoting. So those are some of the indicators under the outcome level of the human domain impact. The immediate output is participants' knowledge and innovativeness increased. And some of the indicators that would lead to that is to see, for example, the percentage of participants able to make evidence-based decision-making, number of good practices emerging and being utilized. Maybe, I would also highlight that we are very free to actually give more suggestions on improving these indicators, but the Addis Ababa workshop really gave a comprehensive breakdown of these indicators. So we shouldn't limit ourselves to saying this is what we can go with. Where we see that there is a limited gap, we can actually be able to see how we can improve them. In the social domain aspect, the desired impact that we envisage to see is good cooperation in the community. That is really the desired goal that we want to see. And some of the indicators that were highlighted there include farmers groups empowered, transformative leadership in the community, percentage of farmer field school group members in the community assuming leadership. At outcome level, we are looking at the desired change is the change and shared gender roles within the farmer field school groups, and then also collective action, maybe for say for marketing or for social cohesion. So those are some of the what collective actions are in place within communities. So the indicators there are we are looking at the level of access to agriculture and social information services, and the percentage reduction in conflict among households. So this literally lead to the desired changes in gender roles within farmer field school groups. The output indicator under the social domain is farmer field school group cohesion enhanced, trust, mutual respect, and group learning also enhanced. And some of the indicators there that were developed include the number of women, youth groups, members participating in decision making, increased level of trust and respect among members. And when we look at the natural domain, the desired impact there is the sustainable production systems enhanced, and the indicators that were put forth include the percentage of households that are food and nutrition secure. We should be able to measure that, and the number of communities or households with sustainable environmental initiatives. So as we are running farmer field schools, what are we able to see some of these changes, sustainable environmental initiatives in the community? We should be able to report about that whenever we are running farmer field schools. The outcome, the desired outcome is production and food production and enterprise systems diversified, and agro ecosystems improved. And some of the indicators there included the number of households registering improved production levels, number of communities with improved biodiverse initiatives, and increased high-value commodities in their farming systems. The output result under the natural domain indicator, the natural domain include the crop diversification enhanced, livestock productivity improved, experimenting with alternatives and improved practices, and some of the indicators that would be able to lead to that are the number of households adopting good agricultural practices, number of households adopting agroecosystem management practices, and so on and so forth. And then finally, in the financial domain, the impact is to see that field school practitioners are financially secure, and there is improved income among the households. So the indicators to measure that would include measure it through household assets, sustainable, inclusive, and responsive markets. This should be functional, first of all, available and functional. The outcome there is household income sources diversified. There should be access to credit, and participants also should be able to manage financial resources. Some of the indicators there would be the percentage of farmer field school members that have diversified their income sources, and percentage of farmer field school members that have access to credit. The outputs include improving business management skills for farmer field school members, functional market linkages established, access to credit of farmer field school improved, and the indicators include the percentage of participants with, for example, business plans. So as we are running farmer field schools, how many of our farmers are now able to come up with different business plans for the various enterprises that they will be establishing? Are the farmers, for example, able to do cost-benefit analysis? So we should expect that if a farmer field school is being run on an enterprise perspective, then farmers should be able to gain knowledge in conducting cost-benefit analysis, and we should be able to measure that whenever we are doing monitoring and evaluation. Number of farmers with access to market information, and the number of farmer field schools with credit systems in place. Already a number of farmer field schools are actually running credit schemes, so we should be able to actually capture that data and be able to report. So the MEL framework, this MEL framework incorporates the theory of change and the log frame, as well as details planned approaches to monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Now, this is not a static document. This document can be subject to improvement because farmer field schools continue evolving, and programs keep changing. So so as time goes on, we'd also expect that this document will continue being improved. So we cannot take this as a final blueprint for farmer field schools, but we should always be able to have the flexibility to improve it as various farmer field school interventions keep evolving. Now, a brief highlight on the theory of change. For those with maybe limited knowledge of a theory of change mainly describes the process of a desired change that we want to see. So it gives, so for the farmer field school, it presents the logic of the interventions and how they lead to achievement of broader objectives. And these interventions are directly derived from the four specific domains and the result areas that we have highlighted in those domains. I think at the end of this presentation, the theory of change is still in the process of we are finalizing the development of the theory of change for the farmer field school. So at the end of the presentation, I will highlight how it is structured so that we are able to see. But I think, like Max highlighted earlier on, when you might be invited to give some inputs and some ideas on how we can actually have a clear structure in terms of our theory of change. So that diagram is supposed to be here, but I'll be able to show you at the end of the presentation. Now, so like I said, the MEL framework incorporates the theory of change as well as the log frame. And in the Addis Ababa workshop, the log frame was also already structured, and I already shared it with some of us in this platform for your input, so that we have a final comprehensive document. But this log frame is derived from the theory of change. Some of the ideas that we've already that were already structured, and its purpose is really to serve as a reference for planning, monitoring progress of the initiatives towards our desired objectives, and for evaluating the overall performance and impacts of the Farmer Field School initiative. So this log frame really demonstrates details of how the inputs interact logically, leading into outputs, outcomes, and finally the desired impact. So for each tier, for each of for each of the domains and the result areas, the log frame contains indicators that can be directly attributable to the farmer field schools, and it ensures that monitoring and reporting is robust and efficient. I just picked out one of the domains for us to. It's a very big document that we shall be able to share with all of us. But I just picked out one of the domains for us to highlight how the log frame is structured. So particularly this table highlights the human domain, and like I stated earlier on, the desired impact is to see empowerment and improved quality of life. So the indicator there include the percentage households of perceived satisfaction, including their economic, health, and education improvement. And then we are looking at the confidence and problem-solving capabilities of the farmer field school practitioners. So how shall we be able to measure this? You can use both a qualitative and a quantitative approach, and some of the survey tools suggested there include perception surveys, case studies, baseline studies. You can go into probably activity of progress monitoring. You can also be able to use some of those tools to be able to measure these indicators that would lead to the desired impact. At outcome level, we are looking at efficient utilization of resources at household level, and the behavior change of the farmer field schools to make improvements achieved. And also we shall be able to measure this both qualitatively and quantitatively. And again, we think that the best way to measure this is the use of surveys as well as case studies and success stories. At output level, we have the participants' analytical ability and critical thinking improved, as well as problem-solving skills. So we are looking at the number of participants being able to make evidence-based decisions, and the number of participants being able to apply problem-solving skills. Again, we shall be able to measure this using, say, in-depth interviews, focus group discussions, pre and post test, maybe during a farmer field school process. You could measure before what their problem solving skills were, and after the farmer field school, you do a post evaluation to assess if they're able to actually solve some of the problems. So this is how the log frame is structured. For us now is to say which specific tools should be able to enable us achieve to measure these indicators that will lead us to achieving these different various result areas. And so we have developed a number of tools. We have the activity process template, activity or process template. We have a progress report template. We have the ISR tool. All this should be able to enable us be able to measure some of these indicators. The last bit of the framework looks at the learning bit. And we are saying that the learning activities mainly ensure that the results stemming from the M&E process are captured, feedback is given, and they are broadly shared with various stakeholders. So from every monitoring and evaluation bit, there should be a learning outcome. We should be able to learn from it. And the knowledge management and communication functions under the farmer field schools should be able to have the capacity to report these lessons learned from the various farmer field school interventions to the various stakeholders that are running the farmer field schools. So like I said, to be able to measure some of these desired changes, we've developed quite a number of tools, case study and success story tools, documentation. We are already using some of those tools in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania and Burundi, and especially with the investment programs. We have also put a comprehensive M&E work plan for the farmer field school, and this plan mainly looks at the guides on the regular data collection, describes modalities and key mechanisms for M&E, as well as enables time evidence-based decision making. We also have progress report templates, which show progress towards achieving the plan priorities, and we have the ISR reporting tool. All those have been captured as annexes in the mail framework, which we shall be sharing with all the farmer field school practitioners. So briefly, that's a brief introduction to the mail framework. Thank you. So I would like now to invite any questions if we have, but let me share briefly what we have in terms of our theory of change and how the process that we are actually taking to develop it. So
well, thank you, Nathan. As you're sharing it, the members, you can start posting your questions in the chat box, or you will raise your hand, then we will give you that opportunity. Already there are some comments in the chat box. You can also go through, particularly from Ori. Proceed, Nathan.
Okay. So I don't know if this is visible for us. So that is the our farmer field school theory of change. It's not yet complete, but we are trying to have it structured, and we shall be able to share with all of us. So this theory of change is guided from the four domains. So we are able to see the financial, the social, the human, and the natural domain, and it is structured in those different result areas, activities, outputs, outcomes, impact, and the final. We have the initial impact and the final impact. And the final impact is to look at what we desire to see is the improved livelihood and well-being, as well as farmer field school participants of practitioners being able to have food and nutritional security, as well as empowered communities. That is the ultimate goal under which farmer field schools operate. So when you look at this, particularly this human domain, the activity there, like I already highlighted when I was showing you the indicators, we are looking at enhancing participants' analytical skills. The outputs are those, the outcomes, and finally that. So this is a document that we are putting together, and we shall be able to share with you to have your suggestions. But that's already how it is structured. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Nathan. This is quite very good presentation, quite elaborate, and the dons on this forum, I think they should all award us as certificate or diplomas in M&A monitoring and evaluation at the end of this session. So we will invite your comments and sentiments. I will start with the one mentioned by Ori. It may seem difficult to measure these changes at the human social domains, as most of this is based on perceptions rather than a physical measure. We don't have an elaborate scale. There will need to be a pre and post tests, but my concern is potential respondents bias in the pre-test. They may just want to tell you what you want to hear, not exactly what is going on. So those are just observations from Aubrey, but the rest of us, we have a few minutes that we can also voice our concerns and our other sentiments. Over to you. Want to see some raised hands?
Hey, where are people? I see the experts of M&E are here, including Isaac, including Opio JP, including Dr. Esther. You know, give us some highlights. Anyway, maybe I just start off and say I think thank you, Nathan, again for this. Is good work in progress as usual. Also, you know, M&E keeps evolving. But also most important, I had also a chat with Ori on the some of these issues. We may want to focus on few indicators for a start. What is it that we can really track? Because these are so many, and normally now the M&E becomes very complicated for people who don't have a lot of time also to do the work. And remember, we are relying on people who have their own M&E systems, and also sometimes they have their own lot of indicators. So in a way, they will be adapting some of this. some definitely who are implementing field schools will take the male framework as it is, but I think as we move forward, we need to start guiding on, say, which ones are critical indicators that if we come to the field school for a beginning, we really need to see them. Easily, we could really track them, and as we, of course, track the rest, but we should have some focus, few indicators. That is, yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Debra Gole.
Proceed, David.
Yes, Doctor, go ahead.
Oh, Peter.
Yes, Dr. David, go ahead.
Yeah.
Dr. Gole, proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nathan, for that elaborate explanation on the mail framework and together with the log model and the theory of change, and also the background that Ori gave. Thank you so much. It's very educative. I just wanted to add a few things. Under the logo, because you said the impact could be, the data could be collected using qualitative. It would be good to specify video documentaries, because when you want to see the quality of life that people have achieved or developed, it would be good to show through a video. It carries a lot more meaning. Yeah, if you collect, take video and have people watch and see how people's lives have transformed over time, it has a lot of weight. And then coming back to the theory of change, I would want to talk about the different other theories that can be used in development programs. But development programs implemented in developing countries seem to be inclined so much on the theory of change. There are other models that can be used, but in this situation, we can continue to use theory of change. However, there are different forms in which a logo frame can be developed. What actually you have indicated in the theory of change, the diagram of the theory of change shows another model of developing. It's another way of developing a logo frame that is more of a logo frame developed in another format. There are different formats of developing logo frame. The other one you presented is research-based, but the other format, so it's more of another format of a logo frame. So we could probably need to think about the alternative, another way. I saw one developed by the disability organization. I'll share with you. I see how we can borrow from that. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Agole.
Yes.
So maybe we hear from John Peter, and then we can ask the two presenters to respond, Ori and Nathan. So Pio, proceed.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it has been long overdue. We've been waiting for this framework and put Nathan under pressure on me to share the template so that we input into it. I think we're in the right direction. I may say we now have a bit of sigh of relief as to the direction we should take as we implement field schools. Question that I've always been asked: what are these field schools? Are they necessary? Are they relevant? What are the results? So now we have to begin preparing right from planning level, actual situation analysis. I don't want to repeat the same thing. Nothing has indicated. It's generic, it's open, we can contribute. Only pray that you share the templates with us on mail. All the templates, he has mentioned a lot of tools. Please pour them to us so that we can clinically look through and see what we can contribute or leave as it is. However, that, from my observation, is more from the perspective of the technical people, the researchers, the academicians. What about the farmer perspective? those guys have a lot of information to dig out using the tools. Of course, not only theory. There are so many other, as mentioned by the previous presenter. I think that's all I have to say. We only await for the document, soft copy from the team. Asante sana.
Thank you. We will share the presentation, but now I will relate to our two key presenters or any other person to respond to those two concerns from Dr. Agole and from JP.
Okay, thank you very much. Pratt highlighted that indeed it is very difficult to measure perceptions, aspects, the result areas of the human and social aspects, because doing a pre and post test might be subject to some bias. I think that some of the things that I was already looking at in this framework is coming up with proxy indicators that would be able to help us be able to measure some of the some of these aspects that are highlighted in the impact and in the human and the social domain. I'll give an example. I'm still trying to think of proxy indicators for some of these initiatives. But let me give an example of a proxy indicator outside the farmer field school. If you look at, it's difficult to measure issues to do with stigma. People who are exposed to HIV/AIDS and they are stigmatized. So it will be very difficult for you to measure that. But how you could achieve that is, for example, to ask something like, how many people would be willing to say kiss an HIV/AIDS person? You see that? So that would be able to lead you to being able to measure that aspect of stigma. So some of these difficult indicators that are very difficult to measure, we're already thinking of putting in proxy indicators that will be able to lead us to some of those, so that we do not even do the pre and post test evaluations that can be subject to issues to do with bias, but actually carry out a comprehensive maybe survey to be able to achieve some of those results. And various options of developing theories of change are welcome, but we are putting this first of all as one option, and then we shall be able to welcome some of those ideas that you could be having. JP, I already shared this document internally amongst us, and I already put some of the tools like an M&E plan for the farmer field schools, activity or progress process reporting template. I also captured the progress reporting template. There's also the ISR tool, updated one that actually you had input, you actually guided in developing. So all of those have been added as into the mail framework document, and we shall be able to circulate this for your further input. Back to you, Edwin.
Thank you, Nathan. And to the members in this platform, this is the first time you're going to use this ML guide within the region. So there'll be a lot of people looking for answers, looking for direction. I've seen the concern from Amariat that we should make it as simple as possible, particularly for the MTs, the master trainers who are going to be doing some technical backstopping to the investment programs. At the same time, from Jen Kadure, we need to look at the issues of conflict reduction at household level. I wish Dr. Mutungi will have been here to share with us something on peace and conflict impact assessment for peace and conflict resolution. I will ask him to maybe to share that in the next meeting. Then I've seen Baha, your hand is up. We'll give you this opportunity to voice your sentiments. Over to you.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, the presenters, Ori and Nathan, for a good job. I just have an observation. Aware that FFS is an approach, I just want to agree with Max on the fact that perhaps we need now to be able to bring programs on board on this, because this is a fairly simple framework, yes, but it needs to be institutionalized by program so that we can be able to give it the credit that it deserves in terms of seeing how FFS has been able to contribute to the development objectives of the programs that are being implemented. And I think you have rightfully said, Edwin, that it is now upon us to start sensitizing programs, because this is a very wonderful thing. I share the observations of Ndugu from Uganda, talking about, yes, does FFS really bring change? I think this is the right time for us to be able to bring the conventional frameworks and the FFS mail system for us to be able to show a difference. Thank you very much. I think we've made a good stride.
Thank you, Mr. Baha. Any other concern? We have 4 minutes to go.
Yes, Edwin.
Please go ahead, Amariat.
Edwin, can I speak?
It's Isaac. Yeah, please proceed.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Nathan, for the elaborate presentation. Actually, that gives us a good foundation to enrich this tool. My observation is like some of the previous comments. I see the tool is indeed very detailed, and some of the indicators might really give us a hard time to measure. So I think we still need to, moving forward, we need to contextualize some of these indicators and zero down on those that can easily be measured in our context. So I really would like to agree with Nathan that let's develop proxy indicators which can be measured. Otherwise, we might struggle with measuring some of the indicators as we implement these activities. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Isaac, for that observation. We have to keep it simple. KISS. So Ori, please take over.
Thanks, Edwin. I just wanted to reply to Baha. Thanks for that comment. One thing that we had not mentioned today is the peripheral sort of effect, the peripheral level of this framework, and that certainly includes the part of institutionalization. So, you know, the development or carrying forward the framework will certainly help us in many different aspects, not just at the site impact level or the program impact level, but to the effect in which it's institutionalized in academia or government or NGOs, the effect of which, you know, how much this framework is utilized. And of course, that leads us further into donor prospects. Donors want to see what sort of impacts the programs have. And if we don't have this information at hand, then, you know, what can we really attest to? And also, so that's certainly a concern of ours at the program level, not just, you know, what the effect of one particular FFS group or site has, but, you know, the holistic measure of impact, so that we can report to our agencies, but reports to donors as well. And then Isaac, you certainly brought up a very good point, and this has been the challenge for us on the development end of either developing or deciding on the appropriate indicators to use. And, you know, when you have people at the theoretical level, or, you know, the program management level that often don't get out into the fields, that can certainly be a challenge. So it's great to have this input you know, from the grassroots level, from the people that are the practitioners that, you know, say that if it's too complex or if it's adequate enough for measures. And somebody also brought up the point of this, the weakness in between research, extension, and farmers. And this is something we're very cognizant of and we need to work on in the future. So we hope that, you know, carrying forward our different development strategies in the future, that we can strengthen those linkages. So I'll just, I'll leave it there, and thanks so much for this great conversation today.
Thank you so much, Ori. I noticed our colleague, Mr. Evans Makoha. I don't know whether you could also share with us on how you are managing the impact of conflict, particularly for the pastoralist field schools. Mr. Makoha, if you can hear me, especially those cross-border issues, resource sharing agreements. Are you able to contribute something, Mr. Makoha?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Adea. I'm sorry, I've been out of touch with the FFS activities. I've been heavily involved in some other activities, but maybe at a later stage, I will be able to share some information. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much. So now, members, I want to say thank you so much for your consistency and for your participation in today's webinar. I will just now relate to Max for the final words, and then, of course, the presentation will be shared to everybody.
Thank you, Edwin, and thanks everyone for a very lively discussion. Thanks, Ori and Nathan, for leading us in this mail. Of course, I know it has taken us time right from a bit of Kigali, then we had enough time in Addis Ababa, but also it reflects more on the meeting I attended with the Ori in Rome, where we're talking about digitalization of the field school. Still, the mail comes in play, so we need to start really implementing some of the elements. Like everyone has said, we may not move the mail in a holistic way, but we should be able to find elements that we can start with. For the theory of change, in fact, most organizations now are moving to theory of change. From outcome mapping, the log frames. So the theory of change basically makes you to understand how you move to achieve your goal, how the processes that are involved. The log frames normally are very concrete, they are more conventional in talking about outcome, impact outcome, outputs and activities. But the theory of change gives you even the process that you need to go there. So it is a stepwise thing. So the only most important thing is to making it simple for people to understand, but also be able to implement it. So I'm happy that Nathan has taken time to start the process. So all of us are called upon to give feedback. I think, Nathan, you will circulate this, let the colleagues give their feedback through online. Then in future we can again arrange for a 2 hours or 1 hour meeting online to see how we are making progress. So from where I am sitting now, I am excited that we are moving forward, and I look forward to implementation of some of this, but also for the master trainers to take charge, because you are the ambassadors, you are the people who really take some of these things forward quickly. So if you have questions, feel free to get back to us, especially Nathan and Ori. Then as you are talking to stakeholders in the field, introduce the elements of the mail. With this, we wish to continue being networked, and also Wednesday we have a number of consultants that are currently doing a lot of work at the field school. So we would like you to start mobilizing all our stakeholders to participate so that we hear them presenting different things that they are discovering that they want us to give feedback next Wednesday. We also feel that we may get a guest speaker on to give us some insights on some topic. So I wish you well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As it is our tradition, let's put our videos on for our last photo, and then we can proceed to leave at our own pleasure.
Edwin, unmute my video.
Okay. Now let me unmute.
Wycliffe,
everybody now.
habari ya Kenya bwana. You are there enjoying life.
Salama.
Yeah.
Edwin, unmute my video.
Yes, I've done that.
James.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Fred is Fred, you could move a bit your camera so that we see you like we are seeing Dr. Esther very visible, like a typical Uganda, not Kenyan. So, okay. Great.
Max, we forgot to introduce people like Benu Sharon, our researcher.
You better introduce them.
We can give them a chance next Wednesday just to say a word or two.
Yeah.
Sharon, we notice your presence.
Olivia is one of them.
Olivia also. Yeah.
I can see Ruheni, Jen Ruheni is one of our research assistants.
Yes.
Even James
from Nakuru, James.
Yeah.
Yes,
we have a person like Isaac. Yeah, very good. We have. So next week we shall introduce the groups like Isaac, Timothy, who will be working with agribusiness, and Isaac, you'll be working closely with OPOJP, and you'll always be contacting Wycliffe. Wycliffe is a seasoned extensionist and our senior colleague in the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock in Kenya. So when you go there, Nyama Choma is assured. He's a big man. He will just sign for you.
But they know the ministry, they've put a kitchen garden behind the ministry, and at the front of the ministry they have a restaurant. So there's just food in that ministry.
So take the photo.
That's why it's called Kilimo.
Kilimo, yeah. Sawa. That's cool, sana.
Thank you so much. For the MTs and the other guys, you can remain, and we have our own small in-house discussions. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So we remain with all the volunteers and the master trainers, and actually others who feel like they want to join. You can join briefly.
That's for 5 minutes.
Are we through with the photo session? We can log out the videos.